Well, we stole the Batmobile. And repoing was a blast back in the day. You didn't use tow trucks, you popped the cars. We'd pop about 8, 9 cars a day. Porsches were easy. There was a lot of 911s back then, and this was in Southern California. The most cars stolen were Hyundai XLs, which those are the easiest cars in the world to steal. Back then, they had a deal going, buy one, get two. So you and a friend could go in. And a lot of people did that, and their friend would quit paying. They couldn't afford the $90 a month car payment, and we'd go repo their XL. And you could steal one with a hook, a bobby pin almost. You just put it in the ignition and pull it out, flip your lock pick over, put it in, and start the car up. Gone in 60 seconds. I mean, we were gone in 30 seconds. I mean, laser cut keys were just coming out. I mean, my first laser cut key was a Mercedes, and we'd order the keys from the company, and they'd send us the keys, and we'd have the key to the car. And my first Mercedes I stole we was following this guy. He was a rich dude, had a Mercedes. Well, he wasn't paying his bills though. And he went to stop and get coffee. This is pre-Starbucks days, I think. It was at a Quick Stop or 7-Eleven. And he was getting coffee and gas, and I had the key to his car. So I just kind of walked up and got in it, fired it up, and took off. Porsches were easy to steal, Volkswagens, Toyotas, everything was easy to steal back then. And maybe that's why they are so complicated to steal now. Remember the first Corvette we took had the computer chip keys in it. And to steal a computer chip car, back then you had this real expensive electronic box, and you would put the key in, you'd have to, and set it, you'd cut the key for the car ignition, because we'd get the codes and cut the keys, and then you have the chip in the reader, and it'd take 10 to 15 minutes to reset every time you used the wrong chip. And I think there was 15 chips. Dude, you was in that guy's garage for 2 hours trying to steal his car. It got scary. We got a 59 Cadillac once, and that was fun. It was, man, the back seat was, you could stretch your feet out like that and still not touch the back of the front seat. It was huge. And my partner was this big, burly, beardy-ass biker from Chicago, and he drove a remember those ugly green Novas, 4-door? But the thing was built. Underneath it was built. And that's how I started working with a partner. This one guy, it became a personal vendetta for him because this guy dissed him, and you're not getting my car, you'll never get it, and we'll pay your freaking bills and I won't be back, And anyway, it became personal. We spent a lot of time trying to get that guy. He would always keep his car garaged and locked at work and at home, and he wouldn't pay his bill. He wouldn't pay the note. So the way we finally got him is we followed him one day, and he seen us following him, and he took off. Man, we were racing down. We were just like in the movies, man, car chase. And Steve, big biker from Chicago, he was annoyed, let's say, and he wasn't gonna let up on this dude. And we were doing a car chase right through San Diego. This guy took his Benzo and went down some railroad tracks. Old Steve-O was right on this tail, man. We're driving down railroad tracks trying to get around traffic jams. It was fun. I finally got the guy. He got jammed up in traffic, and I hopped out with a pair of dikes and cut his valve stem. Flat tire. Now, buddy, we got you. And I bought one of those stealth repo kits for a pickup truck. I had a 3500 series truck, and it would fold out. We'd flip a button, and it looked like a pickup truck. It didn't look like a tow truck, and you'd push a button, and this thing would flip out, and you'd have a tow truck. So I went out on my own after that. You'd pop the cars, get them away from the house, make the keys for them so you can steer, whatever, drive them over, hook them up to your truck, which is parked a few blocks away. If you couldn't just hook and book, sometimes you could just do that. I was stealing a dude's Jag once up in the mountains, and it didn't run. It was all torn apart. Motor was out, I think. It was just, I didn't get real close to it because I hooked, I booked. He was in a cul-de-sac, and he cut through the woods and got in front of me, come at me with an AK-47. First thing he did was smash my headlight with the AK. Then he threw it up in my face. I'm like, dude, it's just a car. It ain't worth dying for. But I was young and dumb, just got out of the Army. So I grabbed his AK and we started fighting. I beat him with it a little bit. I got it away from him, and I threw it way out into the brush just to get it away from us. And then we started fighting in earnest. And that's when this guy was bigger than me, and he was stronger than me, and he kicked my ass. And he got me in a stranglehold, and I'm trying to punch his face, but you're useless like that. And he knocked me out. He drugged me out to the middle of the road and left me there. hoping somebody'd run over me, I think. It's his whole reasoning behind that. And the Jag was still hooked up to my truck, my tow truck. So he jumped in it and drove off, stole my truck. And I woke up, I don't know, a while later, and no car, no truck, nothing. Yeah, I found my truck. It was wrecked about a mile down the road. I let him, he rammed the truck into a tree. It wasn't bad, it was still drivable. Didn't even break the radiator, but he ran it off the road into a tree. And he'd already dropped his car. His car was on the road, and I guess he was going to haul another tow truck to tow it back. I mean, I don't know what his reasoning was, but I just let him keep the car. I got down there and hope he never found his gun. I hope it's still out there rusting in the weeds. Usually it was Hondas people couldn't pay for, and Mercedes was our two biggest cars. We stole to Southern California. Everybody had to have a 500 convertible, and they couldn't afford them, so I went and took them back. But there was a number of cars I never did take because it just wasn't right. The bank was screwing them over one way or another, or these used car lots, buy here, pay here. And I just felt sorry for these people. Some of them, I told them how to keep their car. This is how you keep it from me, you know? So I told them the legal ramifications of what they're doing and how to, anyway. Some people I let keep their cars because they didn't deserve to have them repoed, and it was just my call. But this one guy did. He had an El Camino, and oh my God, he was a jerk. Man, it was like a nightmare scenario. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Him and his 2-3 buddies come running out of the house, and his girlfriend, who was this pretty hefty chick, and she is screaming the whole, they had a baseball bat, and I got into a fight with the dudes with the baseball bat, and it's getting bloody, and this girl, the weirdest part about it was this girl was just screaming the whole time, just, and she wouldn't shut up. That was what I remember most about that night. I don't remember getting hit or beat or just this screaming woman and the lights coming on, and then just it was nuts. It was a good time, and in the end, you know, I didn't die or anything. Well, we stole the Batmobile, but I can't go into a lot of detail about that. But it was one of the original Batmobiles. The note was like for over $1 million on that car. It was one of the running ones from the movie. But we didn't get to drive it though. It was stand around. We actually took the police in on that one, and we had the paperwork, and the dude was like, give up the car. This is the notice. But he gave us the car and was flatbedded out. But I didn't get to drive the Batmobile. That was out in the desert a ways from San Diego, and it would have been a fun drive back in. What we used to do, and I was young back then, this was the 90s, we'd pop these SL 500s and then go cruise the beach. Hey girls. 5.0 Mustangs were real popular back then, and we'd sometimes pop 2 or 3 a night and go racing. 2 o'clock in the morning, tearing through San Diego, the back streets and the road and the freeways, and just race back to the shop. The legal way to do it is you're supposed to pop the car first, have it in your possession, and then call the police. This is pre-cell phone days, so you go to a payphone and you call the police, or sometimes you're only half an hour, 20 minutes, 10 minutes away from the shop, so you go back to the shop, then call it in, let them know. I was halfway down the mountain, and the cops lit me up, and I pull over, of course, and hands out the window, just because I'm dressed all in black. I wear a black trench coat, and it wasn't just for aesthetics. It was sometimes you're going through somebody's yard and a light comes on, you could just crouch down, cover yourself with your trench coat, you fade away into the shadows. And a lady cop gets out of the car, got her gun out, it's a repo, I got the paperwork right here. Shut up, get down, get your hands in the air. And she was scared. And I'm like, lady, it's a repo, can you please take your finger off the trigger, please? I had to I dropped my jacket, I had to take my shirt off, I'm half naked, I got no guns, I'm turning around, getting, stand up, sit, get on your knees, and finally her partner, another cop showed up, and it was cool then, but man, she was shaking, had her finger on the trigger. I'm like, oh, I hope it's not an easy pull trigger, man. Out of all the adventures, that was the closest, and it was from a cop, and it's cool, and she was just young and inexperienced, thought I was a thug.
Are you looking to buy your dream car? Premier Financial Services offers the flexibility of financing with the tax benefits of leasing. The PFS Simple Lease offers quick approvals and easy termination when you are ready for the next car. Visit our website and follow us for more.